Let's talk a little bit about leadership and submission. Now, this can be a pretty touchy subject because when it comes to human authority, it is very difficult to be under someone else's authority, especially if they're not leading in just the right way. And that's one of the reasons Jesus told leaders in his kingdom, don't lord it over people like the Gentiles. You lead by serving, you lead by example. Yes, lead, and yes, encourage people to do the right thing, but never against their will. And so it's also important for those of us who are under human authority that we make the leader's job easier by doing this. I'm not just talking about the church. There are actually about 5 different kinds of human authority that are given in the Bible. And so we may find ourselves in the leadership position at times and someone in submission to us, or we may find ourselves at other times in other categories being the one in submission where there's a leader that has authority over us. So how do we handle these things? Well, first of all, let's just say this. Jesus has all authority. His authority supersedes every other thing in the world. He's been given all authority. But what he does with some of that authority is he gives it to his disciples. Remember when Jesus sent out the 12 in Matthew 10, and when he sent out the 72 in Luke 10, and sent out the whole church in the book of Acts? He's given all of us certain authority, right? Titus says, these then are the things you should teach, encourage and rebuke with all authority. Okay, so we all have the authority to encourage one another and to rebuke one another. So when you see someone doing good, encourage them. When you see someone doing bad, lovingly rebuke them, all right? But he also gives different levels of authority to different leaders. So passages like Hebrew 13:7 talks about how if there's a leader in the church and they're asking you to do something and it's according to God's will, make their job a joy, a delight. Just go ahead and cooperate and do that. Now, I can tell you as a church leader, the most discouraging things for me as a leader are when I say, here's what God said, let's all go do it. And church members are like, we don't really want to do that. Okay, that's not making my job easy, right? That's not a joy for me. It's a discouragement for me. And so realize that as we interact with each other in the church, leaders need to lead humbly, lovingly, considerately, but other people in the church need to follow and have a good attitude and work hard and even get out of your comfort zone a little bit. So when we're under someone else's authority, we need to be cooperative and make our leaders work a joy, not a burden. But there are other kinds of leadership. God talks about how we're to submit to government authorities, how within the family structure, husbands and wives, there's leadership and submission there. Children and parents, there's leadership and submission there. So again, elderly people, people that we should respect. There's all kinds of kind of leaders in authority and people that are in submission to them. So if a person in authority asks us to do more than we are legally obligated to do, or more than we are ethically or biblically obligated to do, we should consider some examples in Scripture. In the Old Testament, they were supposed to obey their governmental leaders too. But remember the Hebrew midwives? They were told, hey, when a Hebrew boy is born, let us know because we're supposed to kill all the boys. Well, there was a higher principle involved there. And the midwives did not report that to the soldiers, and so that, the Hebrew boys wouldn't be killed. And God actually rewarded them for not doing what the government told them to. So if the government asks us to do something that's uncomfortable, but not against God's law, we still need to do it. I don't like paying taxes, but I do it because, God said to do it. And I don't like the way some of my tax dollars are spent, but I do it because God said to do it. But if the government were to come in and say, we want you to bow down to this other God, remember what happened with Daniel? Remember what happened with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? No. You don't have more authority than Jesus. You can't tell me to do something God says not to do, or tell me not to do something God said to do, like preach the gospel. The early church, apostles got put in jail and persecuted and all kinds of things because they were doing what God said do when the government told them not to. So we've got to find that healthy balance of I've got the right heart, I'm compliant, but I will not be forced to do something that is against God's rules. So these are kind of some general principles that we have in leadership and when we're the leaders and also when we're the ones under other leaders and how we should comply and cooperate. God bless you as you seek that balance in your life, and it will make you stronger as a Christian as you do this.